out, isn't it? I'm calling this the vibration of favor. And welcome everyone. Hey, all the ones that are here, 29. That's my number. So that's a good sign. And welcome everyone. I have to say I had a laugh before, but hey, what we do here is we just invoke favor. And if some people don't like it, well, you know, at some point in time, you're going to have to get real inside. Welcome. So, hey, favor, everyone. Invoking favor from on high upon us all. You know, that's the only way to be. The world is getting filled of hate, and hate is literally seeping into people's personalities and their mannerisms, and it's being amplified, folks. And favor is the flavor. Favor is the vibration. And with favor, we can change this, at least for our group. I don't know about the rest, but for us, you know, we'll do our best. And so nothing missing, nothing broken be in your life. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Lori. Good to see you. I've seen a lot of people in here. Plum Moon Bliss. Love that one. Al, how are you doing, my friend? I saw the t-shirt. Yeah. All right. You know, it says, don't you think I know I was wrong? I'd know it. You know, listen, we're you know, a proton. Fabulous. We're going to find out today. Today's lesson is really far out. I mean, it really is. So just invoking favor, nothing missing, nothing broken in your lives. That's how we look at it. And that's the way we hang here, and we like it. So, hey, right off of the bat, I want to show y'all something. So study finds that you can live longer and healthier by eating apples every day and drinking tea. Oh, and particularly the kind of tea that I drink. Yeah. So here's to everybody. Good health. And try to put that in your diet if you can. Why not, right? Listen, I saw earlier, I think it was Sherry, your mom's going into surgery. Is that right? And, you know, we just speak favor to her. We speak favor to the surgeon, you know, the anesthesiologist, the nurses. My wife is a nurse and worked many, many years in the OR. And listen, that's who we need to be speaking favor to. You know, they're the ones doing the delicate work. And Sherry, we just speak favor and health to your mom, speedy recovery to her. And to the rest of you folks, I mean, that are dealing with health issues, financial issues, issues in relationships, you know, folks, here's the key. No fear. Seriously, no fear. And it's something we all have to deal with. We all have a certain, I don't know, it's inside. It's a part of the primal part of us, because the body has a spirit. The body likes being alive. You know, it can be alive, but it can't be animated without a soul and a spirit. We learned that. So anyway, we wish you the best on that, and we speak favor to it. I'm involved in something right now that it's preventing me from getting to some of the things I need to. Karen is on. I've got a list that's this long, but as soon as I get finished with it, I can get on with the stuff here at all. So seriously, though, no fear in your life. You know, it's all around us. It's popular. People like being afraid. You know, fear, you know, if that wasn't the case, then the horror movies would not make a dime. The books. I was an avid reader for many years of Dean Koontz, liked his writing, particularly at the beginning. As he got kind of near in the end, it became a little bit more repetitive, as it typically does. But I was a real big Dean Koontz fan, and I thought he wrote fabulously on the nature of man. I think it was in Black Lightning, in that one, which was a real mind coitus one. I remember a quote was said in this, that within each person lies the ability to do acts of horrendous natures that they think would never be there. Like, okay, well, some may say that. So let's get into our favor declaration. We got to do it, folks. Listen, we're going to continue to do it here. I like the tones, the vibration of favor. That's what I got in early this morning. I've been having to get up about 4 o'clock, which kind of cool, All right, we'll read this other group. All these favors will come upon us, even those who give us, sometimes a difficult time. We love them all. And overtake us if we give voice to them each day. Favor will be with us in the city. Favor will be with us in the country. Favor will heal our bodies when we speak favor into your bodies. Favor will set apart our children, our animals, and our ground is favored with abundance and joy. Favor will be upon our food, water, and pantry. Favor will walk with us when we go in, and favor will walk with us when we walk out. Favor will cause our enemies to be at peace with us. Favor will be upon our barns and storehouses where we keep our valuables to prosper and be in safety. I'm just putting a little ice cube there. You really need to be quoting that seriously. Favor will be upon us in everything we undertake. Everything we set our hands to, favor shall cause it to prosper. Favor shall be upon all of our material property, and it shall cause it to last longer and not break. Favor shall protect us, our offspring, our relatives, our possessions from calamity. Favor will lead us to good fortune in all things. Favor will cause us to be the head, not the tail, will cause us to always come out on top and not beneath, and will cause us always to be above and not below. Favor will cause us to have favor with the elements, and favor will cause us to have favor with the spiritual realm. Favor will cause us to be favorable to everyone we meet, and they will see us with favor, and favor will seek us out. And as we say, it will be created according to your words, and what was said has been done. Love it. That's as far out. I don't care what anyone says. It's cool. So I've been telling you this, and this story has come back up. I've got 2 things I want to show you. One, to show you the condition humanity is heading towards. Folks, this is the real deal. And unless we start getting back to humanity, we're in deep, deep trouble here. I just want to say hello to everyone in the chat room too. I mean, Lori, hey, Brandy, you're a fine girl. Ian, good to see you. And Julie, Skywalker, Al, David. David, thank you for the email. Haven't had a chance to look at the book, but that's really interesting. Valerie and Melissa and Suzanne, how are you doing? So check this out, folks. So I have been telling you this, that you see that? That's God. Now, if you want to see, I think the earliest indicator, I guess you could say Metropolis maybe, but of more recent modern Hollywood films, THX 1138, I think, was probably the first one that I remember watching that actually showed, before there was artificial intelligence, that man would worship. Robert Duvall is in that, and great movie. If you get a chance, go check it out. So we've seen this coming, maybe for a long time, but this is a robot. It is an AI robot, and more people in Japan, and it will be coming here. I have no doubt that within the next week of something, after this story gets out, that we're going to find someone here, in whoever, California, who knows, that is now worshiping AI. Probably Google. I don't know. Trying to be jovial on a very serious subject. But yeah, so this is a God. Can give you any answer you are seeking. You know, maybe even, I don't know, make your prayers come to true. But folks, it's here and it's going to be here. I mean, I've said this already in my video called Checkmate. Go and watch it. And then the other one that we're worshiping what? I have shown you, that was over a year and a half ago, that these black boxes you think is just your cell phone. No, you're actually worshiping this. And doubt me? Well, go look at the video. I defined what worship really is and devotion. And worship is what has got your attention. That's devotion. So this is the expected to be showing up more and more in churches everywhere. Did you see the story about how they found in Pompeii the magician's box? They're calling it a sorcery box, but no, this was a magician's box. I don't know whether it was, in fact, a male or a female, but folks, take a look at this. This is so cool. When you look at all these talisman, amulets, just, I found it so curious in the broad number of different items that was, I don't know, I would suspect, I guess this may have not been the most powerful magician because she got caught there in the disaster, but nevertheless, you see, that's why we're studying this subject, magic. The blinders are coming off. The game is up. And the God that, and those that have been trying to control this, they know it's up. You got more and more channels like this one coming out and saying, hey, folks, they've blinded us by this. Tried to make it to where it was evil. No. And I think that this is just so cool that it survived all this time. And here we go. I mean, is that not just cool? I mean, yeah. So, you know, magic is, we're going to study more about it. And we're definitely going to learn some things today, because let me get right into our reading where we left off last time. We were getting into materialism. And folks, from the next section here, it's liberating. It's going to explain so much. Why, if you can get this down in you, that you no longer believe it, but know it to be true. Wow, wait till you hear what happens. All right, why do anatomists and physiologists and those who study natural science generally accept materialism? The answer: physiologists relate everything to their senses. Human pride fancies knowing everything and refuses to admit that there are things that transcend human intelligence. Science itself even spawns arrogance, since scientists think that the nature can hide nothing from them. Question: it is unfortunate that materialism is a consequence of scientific studies that should, quite the contrary, show people the superiority of the divine intelligence that governs the world. Should we conclude that those who embrace those studies are dangerous? Wow, I hadn't thought about that one. Answer: materialism, rather than being a consequence of those studies, is a false result arrived at by individuals who have drawn incorrect conclusions. These conclusions cause errors in perception and distort practically everything, including the best things. The idea of nothingness perplexes them more than they let on. And let me tell you, folks, I did a video on the alternate reality of the nothingness. It freaks some people right out. They just can't handle it. All right. And those who proclaim their materialistic convictions the loudest are more often than not brash rather than brave. Most materialists only cling to this belief because they have nothing with which to fill the void. Throw a firm line to those who only see a gaping void before them, and they will grasp it eagerly. There is some truth in that one. If you let that one go, you shouldn't. It is an abbreviation of intelligence that leads some to see nothing in organic beings but the action of matter, and attribute all the phenomenon of existence to this action. They see the human body as the action of an electrical machine. They have studied the mechanism of life only in terms of the functioning of the bodily organs. When they see this life terminated by the splitting of a single thread, they see nothing but this thread. They have looked to see whether anything remained, and never having witnessed the soul departing from the body, conclude that everything can be reduced to matter simply because this machine has become nothing more to them than an inert mass of flesh. To them, death is the extinction of all thought. That is a very dreary perception, because then good and evil would have no purpose, and every person would be vindicated by thinking only of oneself. All thoughts and actions would fall to the wayside in favor of material satisfaction. Is this not what's happening today? It's been prevalent through our species, but folks, take a look outside. All social ties would be broken, and the purest feelings would be destroyed forever. Fortunately, these ideas are only kept by the few rather than the general population. Their extent may even be limited to individual opinions because they have not been officially established in any doctrine. A society founded on such a basis would contain the poison for its own downfall, and its members would tear each other apart like vicious beasts. Has something happened to us? We don't like to think about us being included, but our world. Human beings instinctively believe that things do not end with this life. They are petrified of oblivion. Regardless of how strongly they attack the idea of a future life, very few do not reflect on what lies in store for them upon death. The thought of permanently departing from life is horrifying. Who could honestly view with complete apathy the prospect of being separated from one's loved ones forever? Who could confidently stare down the immense void of nothingness before them that will swallow up all their faculties, hopes, and calamities, say to themselves, there is nothing after death, and it will be all over. In a few days, no memory of me will remain in the minds of those who survive me, and the earth will bear no trace of my existence. All the good that I have done will be forgotten by the ingrates whom I helped. There is nothing to reward me for this, no other prospect than my body being devoured by worms. Wow, that'll get you really, excited. Not. Isn't there something frightening and chilling in this picture? Yeah. Religion teaches us that our destiny could not be this bleak, and reason confirms it. But this vague and indefinite future does not satisfy our natural desire for proof. It is this lack of proof that generates doubt. Your fear of death, of loss, all originates right here. It's the doubt. You know, I say this before, learn to doubt your doubts and you'll never doubt your doubts again. All right, let's continue. We have a soul, but what is it? Does it have a form, an appearance of any kind? Is it limited or undefined? Some say that it is the breath of God. Others, that it is the spark of humanity. I mean, it is that spark, or even part of the great whole, the principle of life and intelligence. What does this teach us? What is the point of having a soul if it just disappears like a drop of water in the ocean? Isn't this loss of individuality equivalent to extinction for us? The soul is said to be immaterial, but we perceive that which is immaterial as having no divine proportions and therefore no reality. Religion teaches that our happiness is contingent upon the good or bad we have done. It is the nature of happiness promised to us in the bosoms of God. I said bosoms because I'm thinking of the feminine. It is supreme happiness, eternal contemplation, with no other purpose than singing the praises of the Creator? Are the flames of hell real or merely a figure of speech? The church itself assumes the latter. But what is this suffering? Where does it take place? In short, what will we do and see in this other world that is awaiting us all? The questions of a lifetime. It is maintained that no one has ever come back to give us an account of that world. This simply is not true, and the mission of Spiritism is to enlighten us regarding this future and enable us up to a certain point to touch it and see it, not just through reasoning, but via the substantiation of facts. Spirit communication has eliminated the need for mere presumption or probability that poets embellish with fictitious and allegory images, serving only to deceive us. It is a reality thrust before us. And the beings that live in the spirit world to come and describe their situation to us. They tell us what they are doing, recount the details of their new life, and show us the inevitable fate awaiting each of us according to our merits or wrongdoings. Is this anti-religious? No, it is quite the opposite, since it provides skeptics with faith and inspires half-hearted believers with renewed passions. Spiritism is a most powerful support of religion, and we should acknowledge it, God willing, for the purpose of revitalizing our wavering beliefs and principles, plus allowing it to lead us back onto the path of righteousness for the sake of our future happiness. Folks, think about this. The spirit world is real because all of this, if it's not, again, what a dismal future is that? There is no future in that. So remember, they are us and we are them. To the future generations, you are already a spirit because they'll never know you, never see you. You will pass on with your generation, as all generations do. Helps put it in perspective, doesn't it? Now, this, I'm telling you what, whatever you're doing, stop and listen to this. I think this is probably really a highlight what we're going to get into here right now. We're going to get into the soul after death, individual and eternal life. What happens to the soul at the time of death? It becomes a spirit again, meaning it returns to the spirit world that it had briefly left. Does the soul maintain its individuality after death? Yes, it never loses it. What would it be if it did not preserve it? Question, how does the soul retain this consciousness since it no longer has a material body? It still has a unique fluid, which it draws from the atmosphere of its planet and represents the outer shell of its last incarnation. It's the pair spirit. Does the soul take anything of this life away with it? Only the memory of it and the desire to move on to a better world. This memory may be sweet or bitter, depending on the course of the life it has left. The more advanced its purification, the more clearly it recognizes the futility of what it has left behind on earth. What should we think of the opinion that the soul returns to the universal whole after death? Do all spirits not constitute a whole? Is this whole not a world? When you are part of a group, you form an integral part thereof. Yet, your individuality is still preserved. What proof do we have of the individuality of the soul after death? Has spirit communication not provided the necessary proof? If you are not blind, you will see. If you are not deaf, you will hear. A voice often speaks to you, revealing the existence of a being outside of you. Think about that. We all hear voices. Us empaths, much more than others. The question, where does your thought originate from? This is deep stuff, folks. I love it. People who think that the soul returns to the universal whole after death are wrong if they think that. It loses its individuality like a drop of water in the ocean. They are right if by universal whole they are referring to all incorporeal beings, of which each soul or spirit is a component. If souls were mixed together into one large mass, they would only possess qualities common to the entire mass. They would have no special intellectual or moral qualities of their own that would distinguish them from the others. In the communications that we have obtained, the spirits clearly demonstrate the possession of self-awareness, in addition to a distinct personal will. Their infinite diversity of characteristics is the result and testament to their personal individuality. If there were nothing but the great whole, swallowing all individualities after death, this whole would be uniform and all the communications received from the invisible world would be identical. The proofs of distinct personalities lie in the fact that we meet spirits who are good, bad, educated, ignorant, happy, melancholy, lighthearted, and serious, and so on. This individuality is further substantiated when they are able to undeniably prove their identity by providing personal details relating to their human life, which may be verified. When they reveal themselves in the form of apparitions, their identity obviously cannot be questioned. We learn about the individuality of the soul in the theory as an article of faith. Spiritism simply makes it a material fact. Question: how should we interpret eternal life? Answer: the life of the spirit is eternal, while that of the body is imperial. When the body dies, the soul re-enters eternal life. Would it be more accurate to use the term eternal life for that of a purified spirits, as they have reached relative perfection and no longer enduring trials and tribulations? That would be eternal happiness. But this is a question of words. You may call things whatever you want, provided you reach a collective agreement among yourselves regarding the meaning. That ain't likely to happen. Our next section: separation of the soul and body. Folks, this is how the spirits describe what we're all about to go through at some point. Is the separation of the soul from the body painful? Answer: no. The body often suffers more during life than at death, because the soul is usually unaware of what is occurring to the body at death. At the time of death, the spirit often enjoys what is feeling because it recognizes that it is at the end of its exile. Wow. In natural death, which is the after effect of exhaustion of the body due to age, human beings depart this life without even realizing that they are doing so, like the flame of a lamp that dwindles and eventually goes out when it lacks a source of power. Question: how does the separation of the soul from the body take place? Answer: as the bonds restraining the soul are broken, it separates from the body. Is this separation sudden? Is there a distinct line between life and death? No. It's not like a bird whose cage is suddenly open, allowing it to escape at once. The soul gradually separates from the body. The two states are blurred together, and the spirit extracts itself little by little from its bonds, which are loosened but not broken. During life, a spirit is connected to the body by its semi-material envelope, or what we call the perispirit. Death is the destruction of the body, but not of this envelope which separates from the body when organic life ends. Observation has shown us that the separation of the perispirit from the body at death is gradual rather than abrupt, and this speed may vary depending on the different individuals. In some cases, it is so quick that the perispirit completely separates from the body within a few hours after passing, while in others, particularly for those whose life has been exceedingly material and sensual, this release is much slower. It can take days, weeks, even months. This does not imply that the persistence of vitality in the body or any possibility of restoring life, but it's simply the result of a hold between the body and the spirit proportionate to how consumed the spirit was with the materiality during its human life. It is only rational to assume that if a spirit has closely identified with matter, it will be more difficult for it to separate from its material body. In contrast, intellectual and moral elevation of thought initiates this division even during the life of the body. So I'm going to stop here a second, because what this is saying, and they're going to say it directly, you're hearing this. Now, whether you accept it, whether you reject it, whether you have to meditate on it, they say your spirit grasp it. And death is not something that happens because the body is just worn out. What they're trying to say is that the separation can take years. I contend people who hate themselves and hate others, that have bitterness, resentment, those that seek the material, the luxuries of life, etc., because that's how they identify themselves, they're saying they have a much longer departure. Consequently, when death ultimately arrives, the separation is almost immediate. Studies of individuals after their death have shown that sometimes the connection that remains between the soul and the body is extremely painful, as the spirit is fully cognizant of all the horrors of decomposition. What? This is an exceptional case. I hope so. The unique to certain kinds of life and certain kinds of death. It can happen in the event of suicide. Now, I don't know how you want to take that. That is, it's like a bucket of cold water, ice being poured on you. I mean, that was, I have never come across something that was so blatantly that just says, yeah, in some cases, it's a horror experience. It's something we don't want to experience. But I think we also have to be real in realizing that this very well could be exactly what happens. Question: can the definitive separation of the soul and body take place before the complete termination of organic life? When experiencing extreme agony, the soul sometimes leaves the body so that all that remains is purely organic life. The person is no longer conscious of him or herself, despite the faint flicker of vitality remaining. The body is a machine that is regulated by the heart. As long as the heart pumps blood through its veins, it continues to live. A soul is not needed for this. Wow. At the moment of death, does the soul sometimes experience a kind of bliss that gives it a glimpse of the world to which it is about to return to? The soul often feels the slackening of the restraints holding it to the body and struggles to fully break them. Partially freed from matter, it views the future laid out before it and enjoys the anticipation of the spirit state. Question: a caterpillar begins its existence by crawling on the ground and then spins itself into a cocoon into an apparent death, only to be reborn as a brilliant butterfly. Can we correlate our human life, death, and life after death to this transformation? Yes, but on a very small scale. The image may be good, but it should not be accepted literally, which human beings are prone to do. We are. How does the soul feel when it realizes that it is in the spirit world? That depends. People who have done wrong for the sake of doing wrong feel overwhelmed by shame for their behavior. The soul of a righteous individual is at ease, as if a heavy weight has been lifted, and does not dread even the most penetrating evaluation. The more honest you can be with yourself in the mirror, yeah. Are spirits immediately surrounded by people who they knew on earth and died before them? Yes, according to the degree of affection they had for them, and vice versa. They often come to them upon their return to the spirit world and help them shed material ties. Others, whom they formerly knew but may have lost contact with on earth, come to meet them as well. They see all who are wandering and visit those who are still incarnated. Wow, I know that. In the event of violent or accidental death, when the organs have not been deteriorated by age or disease, does the separation of the soul and the end of organic life occur at the same time? Usually, and at any rate, the interval between them in such cases is very brief. After decapitation, does a person retain any form of consciousness? This is an internet. You got to remember, there was a time where the guillotine was, the method most states used for executions. Here as well. Answer: they frequently do for a few minutes. Holy crap. Until the organic life of the body is completely dead. The fear of death often causes people to lose consciousness before their demise. Yeah. This question simply refers to the awareness that victim may have of themselves as a person and not as a spirit. If they have not lost this awareness before death, they may retain it for a few moments afterwards, but only for a short period of time, which must cease with the end of the brain's organic life. The termination of human consciousness by no means implies the clean separation of the perisprit from the body. On the contrary, when death has resulted from violence and not the gradual extinction of life, the bonds tying the body to the perispirit are tighter, and the release is completed more slowly. Now, this next section is really interesting. And I think that's maybe what a lot of us have sensed that we do experience. Does the soul immediately regain self-consciousness upon leaving the body? Not immediately. It is in a state of confusion. Do all spirits experience the confusion that follows the separation of the soul from the body to the same degree and for the same span of time? No. This depends on their elevation. The person who is already purified recovers consciousness almost immediately because they have already freed themselves from the shackles of materiality during physical life. However, a more materialistic person whose consciousness is not clear remains branded with the impression of matter for a longer period of time. Wow. Does the knowledge of Spiritism have any influence on the duration of this state of confusion? Here's the answer, folks. It has a substantial influence on its duration. Boom! Because the spirit acquired a prior understanding about its new situation. However, the practice of righteousness and a clear consciousness have the most influence. If you got a clean conscience of yourself, it's going to reflect as much what Trina and I spoke about yesterday. It's amazing how all this plays in. All right, when death arrives, everything is chaotic at first. The soul is stunned, similar to when a person wakes from a deep sleep. The needs time to establish its bearings and fully comprehend the situation. It gradually regains clarity and the memory of the past as the influence of the material envelope that it has recently shed weakens, and the fog that obscured its consciousness clears. The duration of confusion following death varies greatly. It may be a few hours, several months, or even years. Those who, during their human lives, have closely identified themselves with their future state do not remain confused for long because they are able to gain quicker understanding of their situation. This confusion is completely dependent on specific features and the type of death. In the case of violent death, suicide, torture, accident, stroke, injuries, and so on, the spirit is shocked and does not believe that it is dead. It stubbornly maintains the contrary and views the body that it has left as something separate from it. It recognizes its body and cannot understand how it could be separated from it. It remains among those it has loved, speaks to them, and does not understand why they do not hear. This illusion lasts until the perispirit has fully separated from the physical body. It is only when this is accomplished that the spirit begins to understand that it no longer is part of the physical world. This phenomenon is easy to explain. With death occurring unexpectedly, the spirit is stunned by the sudden change that has taken place. Death is still equivalent to the destruction for the spirit, and it thinks that it cannot possibly be dead. This illusion is still further reinforced by seeing itself with a body similar to the one it has left, because it does not immediately perceive its ethereal nature and believes that it is a solid, just as it was in the corporeal world. When its attention is called to this point, it is shocked to discover that it is not tangible. This phenomenon is similar to what happens in cases of somnambulists or hypnotized people who cannot believe that they are asleep. For them, sleep is synonymous with a suspension of their faculties. And since they can see clearly and think freely, they feel awake. Some spirits experience this feeling, even in cases where death was expected. It is much more common in those who, despite being ill, did not expect to die. Sometimes the spirit may even attend its own funeral as though it were that of someone else, speaking as if it were someone else, until it finally sees the truth. The confusion that follows death is in no way painful for people who have lived an honest life. They are calm and feel as if they are peacefully waking out of a slumber. We'll talk more about this, but however, people whose conscience is not clear are brimming with anxiety and anguish, and this only heightens as they gain full cognizance. And I can tell you, my wife sees this all the time. There is a syndrome called for this. When people are so afraid to die, they have to drug them and allow the death process to take place because consciously they are in a state of full-blown panic, fear, torment. In cases of collective death, in which many individuals have died together in the same catastrophe, they do not always see one another immediately afterwards. Each spirit goes its own way in the confusion following death, or only worries about those in whom it takes an interest. All right, we're really getting on with this. Now, multiple lives on reincarnation. On reincarnation, got further than I thought. This is going to be good. How can a soul that has not reached perfection during corporeal life achieve purification? Answer: by experiencing the trial of a new existence. How does the soul carry out this new existence? Is it through its transformation as a spirit? The soul undergoes a transformation when it purifies itself. For this transformation to happen, it needs to experience the trial of corporeal life. Does the soul have multiple corporeal lives? Yes. We all have many lives. Those who say any different want you to stay ignorant like them. Wow. This is answering a lot of questions, or at least for me. This statement implies that the soul, after leaving one body, inhabits another. And in other words, it reincarnates itself. Is this correct? Obviously. What is the purpose of reincarnation? Atonement and the progressive betterment of humankind. Without this, where would its justice lie? Is there a limited number of corporeal lives, or does a spirit continue to reincarnate itself forever? With each new existence, a spirit takes a step forward in the path of progress. When it sheds all its impurities, the spirit no longer needs the trials of corporeal life. Is the number of incarnations the same for all spirits? No. A person who advances quickly is spared many trials. However, these successive incarnations are always numerous because progress is almost infinite. What does the spirit become after its initial incarnation? A perfectly happy spirit, its final incarnation, a perfectly happy spirit, a pure spirit. All right, we're going to stop right there because I got a couple of minutes here. And for those of you, wow, what happened to the thumbs? They went down. There you go. Shows you that we love people, we can find it. So folks, this is remarkable for me because I come from a background where I didn't believe in reincarnation. It just, for me, it didn't make sense. I mean, it was like, all right. But then again, I was in a certain mindset, a frame. And as I look at it now, I see it much more clearly. I mean, God creates all the time. The infinite being, the creator, however you want to describe it. We know that Earth is really kind of graduate school, and sometimes it takes people a long time. It makes me wonder, okay, the question I really want to know is that, all right, is the soul, and we're going to find out this. So we're born on planet Earth, right? We know we're the third rock from the sun. And, but no God, creator, is just going to make this the focal point. There has to be billions beyond what we can conceive out there. So do we incarnate on another planet? The thing that I'm questioning is this thing of when we see the terms righteousness and morals. That's the ambiguity that I see in this, is that I don't understand what you're using as your baseline for morals. I don't understand what you're using for righteousness. Because we know different cultures, even on this planet, would violate a definition of morality, of righteousness, just because of customs of that geographical area. So there's something that I am not connecting with here. And I'm sure we pass over, we're all going to figure it out. I mean, there ain't going to be no questions there anymore, but still, it's quite obvious that the spirit world, it has to be so much more intense than this physical one. I mean, the physical, look at, they say there's 7.5 billion people. How they know that, I'm not buying it. I mean, but okay, they're saying there's 7.5 billion people. We'll take that number. That's finite. That's limited. There's 7.5 billion people. I suspect that there's probably 1 billion times that of spirits. Who knows? Maybe it's no number that can be counted. So it would put us under the microscope, so to, we would be the anomaly, not the normality. And then I question, okay, if my journey is for the purification of my spirit, all right, I can dig that. I mean, listen, we all got areas that we want to improve upon. Get that. I think the longer you live, the more awake and aware you are, the more the inside house cleaning you can do. Because you're going, oh crap, I forgot about that closet. You open it up and all the crap pulls out of it, and they're all going, oh really? And you're going, okay, well, wait a minute. But it's true. No, we're all going to die. I mean, I love the fact of how they give the description of the separation of the soul and the body. I mean, now I don't quite understand how they're putting this, that completion of the separation. I had never thought about that before, that there would be obviously a lot of patients, former earthlings, now over there that are dealing with serious withdrawals. I mean, talk about addiction. That may, in fact, what it may actually be patterned after. You get over there and people don't want to leave their bodies. I think about a man like Hugh Hefner that spent his whole life in what some would call the decadence of the flesh. I don't see it that way. It was his path. A lot of people, that's the problem with sex. We have become so close-minded. Even free thinkers are some of the more prudish people I've ever met. Nudity is you can't, no. Wait, we got the freaking, come on, man. You were born naked. And when you die, most of you will be naked. They're going to strip your clothes off anyway, baby. So, that's just my personal take on it. So, how am I supposed to judge myself on my sexuality? See, I don't have a problem whether you're hetero, bi, gay. I mean, it's your life, baby. I mean, live it to the fullest. But how dare someone come and tell me that that's somehow sin? I don't get that. If you follow that logic out, who gave us then this gifting called sex? I mean, I don't think spirits have sex. Well, maybe they might. We know physically you can, but, and again, there's extremes on all of this, but that's just me. So how do you judge that? I mean, we talked yesterday, there's only going to be you, I'm convinced, at any judging. Now, there may be elders and what have you, but they can't judge you. Understand this. No angel, no God can judge you. I'll tell you why. They didn't live your life. They can look at it as a script, as a play, but that you see, they're ineligible to judge you. No other spirit can judge you. You will be your only judge on your life events. That's why we get through the things now. And if there's some things that you just can't reconcile, then accept that and move on. Don't let it be a millstone around your neck. Get rid of it. Anyway. Yes, indeed. And this is how we're going to continue. I have no doubt we will be conducting group spirit communications, as we've already done this with what we did with Talking with the Planets. And how much more we know. We were just scratching. I really liked that time with Patrick. It opened my eyes to so much more. And look where the path has led us now. The conversations that we could have now would be on a totally different level. Wouldn't they? All right, folks. It's been good. I have got to get to someplace, but I appreciate it. Thank you for joining me here. It's a journey, and we're all learning. We stub our toes, we skin our knees, we rough up our elbows, but we get up and we'll put a Band-Aid on it, and together we can come into a place where we're not judging one another, but we're respecting the individuality of each other. And that's what makes it unique. It is a kaleidoscope of an experience. And it makes me look at my fellow human being much more loving, much more compassionately, and much more understanding. So there we go. All right. Much love to you. Peace. And see you tomorrow at the same time, folks. All right. Have yourself a good one. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, everyone in this chat room. I'll go back and look at yes, Desert Rose, you do get a diploma. You really do. And you'll wear it. It's your color. Yeah. You get a color. And you get to walk until, you come back wherever, your path leads you. But I got a sense that, some of us are going to spend a lot of time over there before we come back here. I just think we got some rock concerts to go to, folks. I got some planets I want to visit. I got some black holes I want to go through. That's what I see. I don't mind the emptiness of space. That doesn't bother me. That's as far out as far as I'm concerned. And now that I know I can speed my thought up and down, now I know what Thoth went through. I know exactly. That's exactly what he said he did. Yeah. All right, folks. See you tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye.